Right. So, just in the case of listening, we have understood the importance of diverse materials. So, same thing has to be adopted as far as reading is concerned. Just like reading newspapers every day will not help us much. Of course, we may have the habit of reading, thereby we of course gain a lot of vocabulary, lot of information and structures, creativity, I can say figurative expressions, idiomatic expressions, and so on, of course. But the benefit of reading diverse and different materials may be the books of literature, say fiction, non-fiction, prose, short stories, conversations, dialogues, letters, various other materials like, let's say, books related to, scriptures, spiritual material, scientific fiction, detective novels, or criminal, I mean, uh, materials of different kinds. So whatever that, see, in case I ask you to read fiction, you may not be interested in it. If I ask you to read a detective novel, you may not be interested in it. So we have a choice here. You can read something of your choice which interests you so much. Thereby, what happens is you are going to be greatly benefited. So, because you have interest from your side, you can do it much more. So, anything that is interesting, you should take and you should develop the habit of reading it. So, while reading, you have to really, look at skimming, scanning. These are two important things. Skimming is only quickly running one's eyes over a text together. See, what happens is just quickly running one's eyes over a text to get the gist. See, usually when you take something, what happens? Suppose you take a book, first you will look at the index, you will see the different names of the different chapters, then you will quickly see what this material is going to help me, is it going to be interesting or not, just you will skim it. So when you skim it, it is just running your eyes, then you will go to scan. Scan means quickly going through the text, each and every word, each and every line you read to understand the particular piece of information in order to understand the depth of it. So for that, especially the benefits of reading, if you see, different writers have different styles. No two writers like write in a same way, I tell you. So suppose you take Jane Austen. Okay, she has her own style. You take Charles Dickens, he has his own style. Like, as you keep on changing the writer, what happens is his style, you will be able to understand how he is presenting his ideas, the kind of vocabulary he is presenting, how he is presenting his emotion in the best of the words possible, the different vocabulary. Especially, I advise you to choose books of native writers. There is always a difference between native writers and non-native writers. Non-native writers like our Indian writers or African writers and Commonwealth writers and all that, the way they write English is totally different from British writers and American writers, because it being their mother tongue, it being their native language, the command that they are going to have is totally different. That's why their style of writing will be totally different. That's why what we have to do is better see, whenever we do something, let us try to exploit it totally. Let us try to get benefited by it to the best extent possible. So let us take a book, let us take a book of a native writer, so that we are going to be benefited by his style, by his thoughts, presentation, grammar, vocabulary, many other things that we can see. So that's why we always recommend students to read different materials, different books and all that. These days, there are plenty of books available on personality development. I can say, Shivakera is there, Robin Sharma is there, many other personality development writers are there. Of course, soft skills are very important for you. So that's why you have to read books of, I can say, You Can Win by Shivakera, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma, like such kind of books when you read. Okay, goodbye to negativity by some Srikantananda from Ramakrishna Math. When you read such kind of books, your personality will grow, lot of edification will come, lot of changes will come in your personality. That is one benefit we have. Besides that, we are going to grow like anything in terms of language usage, because especially their language, especially in personality development writers, the vocabulary is powerful vocabulary they are using. That is one thing. And we have good autobiographies, I can say. Biographies are there, autobiographies are there. Worldwide famous autobiography is My Experiments with the Truth by Mahatma Gandhi. His autobiography must be read by every Indian, I can say. Everyone must read that book. Even foreigners are reading, because it is such a splendid, such a wonderful book. And even the language is very, very nice. You can really learn a lot from My Experiments with the Truth. And similarly, of course, Dr. Abdul Kalam's autobiography. Like that, there are so many autobiographies, there are so many biographies, journals are there, articles are there, books are there, personality development books are there, spiritual books are there, fiction is there, detective novels are there, and different materials are available today. The only thing is that you have to be willing to read. So while reading, what we have to see, what we have to learn from reading is very importantly vocabulary and figures of speech. We have to see how the writer is really employing different literary devices to give the beautiful meaning to his thought. Of course, the very natural way is different. The way a poet, the way a writer, the way an editor says is entirely different, because they try to employ certain literary devices in their writing, thereby it becomes so beautiful. That's why at times we feel the book is wonderful, wonderful thoughts, wonderful expressions, lot of creativity, power packed, we say. Why? Because of their expressions and imageries and figurative expressions, idiomatic expressions, creativity, lot of wonderful expressions they use. That's why we have to really look at all these things. Of course, while I have already told you in listening, we are going to look at vocabulary. So also in reading, we are going to look at the vocabulary, and we are going to look at grammar there. Here also grammar there. Sentence formation. That is written language. This is spoken language. In spoken language, the sentences will be different. In the written language, the sentences will be different. So two styles we are going to learn. While reading, we are going to concentrate on each and every word that is framed in a sentence, the syntax, the structure of a sentence, the tense that he has used, different grammatical items, parts of speech, literary devices, figurative expressions, idiomatic expressions, stock expressions, and all that he has used. Each and everything that we are going to closely observe and try to own them. What we have to do is just by looking at them, reading them, listening them, if you leave them, nothing that you are going to be benefited. You should try to own them in the sense you should immediately try to learn what is the context that he has used that particular word and try to learn how to use it. Next time, whenever the opportunity comes, like speaking and writing, you should be able to use that word. That's why you have to turn your passive vocabulary into active vocabulary. Then only you are going to be successful as a good communicator. So there is one more thing coming to reading. There is one thing called reading loudly. See, these days what happens is as students grow, when they come to intermediate graduation levels, they stop reading loudly. Of course, in school days, they are forced to read loudly by their teachers just to supervise them, just to see whether they are reading or not. What happens is as we come to college days, we do away with this habit. But this is really helpful for us because we have a double benefit. When you read, as you utter the word, it goes into mind, and even through echo also it goes into mind. Double benefit that you have. One more thing is that by reading loudly, we can improve our pronunciation. Pronunciation is very, very important thing. Accent is very important. Modulation of your voice is very important. When you speak English, it must sound like English to the people. If it sounds like Telugu or a native, any other mother tongue, it loses its significance. That's why you have to keep up that pronunciation. You have to modulate your voice. All that is possible only when you learn to read loudly. And the benefit of that is that when you read loudly, you will lose fear, fear of facing audience, fear, I can say stage fright, all that you can lose one thing, and you will develop fluent speaking, you will gain confidence. All these sentences will get by hearted. Some people say that, certain beautiful expressions whenever you come across, you have to by heart it, you have to mug it up so that, that expression becomes yours. Of course, there is nothing wrong in by hearting certain beautiful sentences. Of course, good morning, thank you, sorry, and I apologize. These are the sentences which are by hearted only. People may say that, how can you by heart somebody's language? Of course, there are certain expressions which need to be by hearted. Then only we'll be able to express better. They are called stock expressions, I can tell you. So these are the benefits of reading loudly. That's why we have to develop the habit of reading loudly. Thereby speed reading also comes. See, speed reading, as you keep reading loudly over a period of time, if you see, after 10 days or 15 days, you will be able to read fast, very fast, speedily than before. Why? Because you are almost in touch with all the words and all the vocabulary of language. Thereby, you won't fumble. You don't have to worry about the words and all that. You can just see through words and you can understand and go on reading and speaking. So by reading, speaking improves. How it improves? Because you are reading these expressions very loudly, all these will get recorded in your mind. While speaking, all will come back to your mind and you'll be able to speak better. So that's how reading is also very, very helpful for us. Okay, so the next very important skill for us is spoken skills. So very importantly, see, people are judged by their spoken skills. See how best you can speak, how beautifully you can present is judged. Okay, so that's why what we have to do is, in order to speak well, see, the only mantra I tell you to speak in a language is alone by speaking. As long as you don't open up speaking in a language, you can never speak a language. It is as simple as that. That's why what one must do is, one must start at one point or the other speaking. So of course, initially we may have some kind of stage fright, some kind of inhibitions, fear, some kind of uneasiness when we speak. People may laugh at us. People may think that you are speaking bad English or butler English and all that. Of course, nobody is able to speak English properly without committing mistakes. And indeed, nobody is perfect in any language. Of course, we will have to learn right from the beginning only. Even the Telugu language, which we are able to speak so comfortably today, has been learned gradually only. So that's why at one point of time, you will have to start speaking. Then what to speak on? You may get it out, sir. What to speak? What to speak? Every day you have to take some simple topics. Simple topics you have to take, keep speaking. Of course, you can speak with your friends, classmates, colleagues, of course, the teachers, neighbors, friends, family, and so on. You should find some resources for you, some people for you who can really reciprocate. You should start speaking with them. So while speaking, once again, you will have to concentrate on your vocabulary, your pronunciation. While speaking, pronunciation plays a vital role. Your intonation is very important. Your stress of the words is very important. How your accent is very important. So that's why pay attention to your pronunciation while speaking, and pay attention to the vocabulary that you are using, pay attention to the grammar that you are using. That's why initially, before going to speak, if you are exposed to listening and reading, thereby you will have gained much vocabulary, certain skills, certain says, structures, certain grammar you will have already learned. So with that courage, what you can do is you can attempt to speak, of course, simply. You can use simple tenses. You can express your ideas very modestly in the beginning, and thereby what happens is you'll be able to speak better. So while speaking, what we have to concentrate is, of course, I told you, the pronunciation plays a vital role, the vocabulary plays a vital role, grammar plays a vital role. Of course, people say that don't worry too much about grammar. Of course, I do say that if you are too conscious about grammar, so there are two things. One is fluent speaking. If you want to become fluent in speaking, what happens is that uh, you have to really, not worry about certain grammatical elements. If you are worried about parts of speech, if you are worried about tense, if you are worried about syntax, if you are worried about concord and all these things, then what happens is you cannot become fluent. So certain things have to be overlooked while you want to speak. Then what happens is in a course of time, you'll be able to overcome all these things. The mistakes which are happening in your speaking can be gradually overcome. It does not come overnight for anybody to really do away with all those mistakes. So that's why gradually we'll be able to overcome mistakes. So the first, you have to focus only on fluent speaking. Don't worry too much about grammar. Only vocabulary, only pronunciation you play, and you know every day try to interact with people. Minimum 1 hour you have to spend for the speaking activity. You'll have to choose somebody to speak, maybe in the dialogue method. So dialogue method, you say something and he says something, then how to ask questions, like many things are how to apologize, how to accept apology, how to say sorry to somebody, how to thank somebody, how to accept thanks from somebody, how to refuse, how to complain, how to criticize, how to compliment, like many things are there. So all these things you can gradually practice every day. Some activity or the other you take and you practice that way, you'll be able to speak so well. So in speaking, a person becomes very, very fluent only by speaking regularly. If you are away from language, if you do not speak for some time, what happens is you will lose touch with the language, and thereby once again you will fumble for words. It will take some more time for you to pick up that speed. In order to become very fluent speakers, what people have to do is every day you must speak for minimum 1 hour in English. So lastly, I want to touch upon writing skills. So writing is, I can say, is very important and also very complex of all the skills. Say, suppose now I've been speaking for almost 40 minutes or so. If I ask all of you to write down what is that I have spoken, probably you will write only 2 sentences, 5 sentences, and 10 sentences and all. Because it is very difficult coming to writing. Writing involves a lot of process. See, of course, the moment I tell you to write down what I have said, you will take a pen and paper and immediately start writing, and you just keep your pen and once again you raise your head and look into the air. Why? Because what is that he said? What is that he spoke on? How did he begin? And what are the ideas that he has given? What are the clues? What are the skills? What is the elaboration? What are the examples that he has given? All that you have to recap once again. So only when you are able to recap everything, then only you'll be able to write. So in order to write something, you need to have a lot of clarity on what I am going to write. So first you need to have clarity on what you are going to write. Number one, who are your readers? Who are your audience is very important. Whom are you? Who are your targeted readers? Suppose you are writing a letter. Whom are you writing this letter to? You are writing a book. Who are your readers? You are writing a journal. Who are your audience? So you should always keep your audience in your mind while writing. So first thing what we do is, before beginning to write a sentence, first how to begin. So before going to begin, you have to keep certain things in mind. What is that? One is proper introduction. What is that he has talked about? How did he start? So the proper introduction and the elaboration of idea. Suppose he started with some idea. Well, how did he start? How did he elaborate that thought? What are the examples he has given? What are the inferences he has given? And what is the most and information related to that particular topic that he has given? How did he elaborate that thought and all that? And with many examples you have elaborated, then properly you should conclude. So in writing, there are three stages. One is introduction, the second part is elaboration, the third is conclusion. So while writing, once again, why we thought writing is very difficult, because the kind of vocabulary you use in writing is entirely different from the vocabulary that you use for speaking. Already we have understood speaking and reading. Okay, speaking and listening, reading and writing. If you have the habit of reading regularly only, then only you will be able to write better, because you are constantly in touch with good vocabulary, good ideas, presentation, syntax, structure, grammar, figures of speech, literary ideas, creative expressions, idiomatic expressions, and all these things you are in touch. Thereby, while writing, you can of course begin with a striking statement, with a catchy statement you can start, and then you can properly introduce what you want to say. You can make your writing very readable. You can make your I can say writing understandable, enjoyable for your audience, for your readers, I can say. So that's why writing, and one more important idea in writing is coherence. What we are writing. See, suppose we split them into different paragraphs. When you split them into different paragraphs, each paragraph should focus on one idea, and one paragraph to other paragraph, there should be once again coherence. There should be one connection between paragraph and paragraph. Then only what you are ultimately going to say will get fructified. Otherwise, there is no meaning for your writing. If it is just like scattered and broken pieces and all that, where there is no connection between one paragraph and the other paragraph, that writing cannot be enjoyable. People say that it is a waste kind of piece of writing and all that. So that's why whether you write, see, in our daily life, of course, we will have to write a lot. I say, probably we'll be writing letters every day. We'll be writing, reports. We'll be writing journals. We'll be writing articles. We'll be writing, many other things we'll have to write. Of course, some of them have the habit of writing books and all that. So when you are going to write something, all these things you have to keep in mind. Then only it is possible that your writing can be, beautiful, can be enjoyable. Of course, for students, my suggestion is that they can really start writing with their daily routine. What they have to do is daily, they have to write when they start in the morning, right from the time they get up till they get back to bed, what is that they have done, what are the different activities they have done, and all that. If they learn to write, of course, like that, they can start, and simply they can get into simple subjects they can take about employment, about child labor, about nature, about book reading, about media, and all those things. If you take one item and start writing on it, maybe a paragraph, maybe a page, maybe like different, if you go on writing like that, what happens is for a period of time, you'll get a lot of command and writing. Thereby, you'll be greatly benefited and you'll be able to write so well. So that's how, listening, speaking, reading, writing. Communication skills does not mean only becoming sound in one particular skill like listening, speaking, and all. All these four skills are equally, sound. Then only we can say that he is a powerful, is a perfect communicator. So that's why I appeal to all my students to cultivate the habit of listening, speaking, reading, writing. All of them they must do every day. Then only they will become sound in their communication. So that's what I think I must communicate to you today. And now it's open for you to question and answer sessions.
That was really very nice, Mallikarjuna sir. It was like listening to your 3-week lecture in a nutshell in just 1 hour. I mean, the 3 weeks, the course that you do in Ramakrishna Matham about communication skills. It's like all the gist put together. Now the floor is
Thank
open
you.
for the students to ask any questions or share what your feelings are. It's open, ma. Unmute yourself and start. Ajmal. Yes, Ajmal. Crisp, 1 minute.
Hi sir, how are you sir?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good sir. Sir, every you speak.
You're not audible, Ajmal. You're not audible, ma.
What ma'am?
We can't hear you. Yeah. Now ask your question.
Okay. Sir, you presently you say to everyone English. You have to talk.
Sorry, I'm
No,
not able to hear you.
You're
not
not
audible.
audible.
Ajmal,
Ajmal.
remove your video and just put audio so that there'll be clarity.
Yeah, now you speak.
sir, you have to present. You tell na sir. Everyone you go talk to everyone.
Yes.
How to, very you note everyone to how to learn. I will told sir everyone sir, but I daily I'm trying to learning English sir. Thank you.
Good.
Sir, you have
Very
to.
good, very good, very good.
You have to good say to more learn sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Faiza, Vaishnavi. Faiza. Faiza wanted
Yashwant.
to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Faiza.
Yashwant
Faiza,
also is
Yashwant,
there. Any questions, Yashwant?
Faiza, speak, ma.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, first of all, we are really very glad to have you, sir.
Thank you.
And really, sir, the things which you have said is really mesmerizing to us.
Wow, thank you.
And you said that how communication skills plays a vital role in interacting people.
Yes.
And we came to know about the beauty of English through your words, sir.
Wow, thank you.
And the tips which you have gave, like switching to various books, choosing role model, and
Yes.
these tips really helpful for individual to develop English skills, sir.
Okay.
And I really thanks for these suggestions, and I really say that your suggestions and your words made us little curious to learn English well.
Good. Nice. I've done my job. Thank you.
Yes, from today we will try our best to switch into various books, and we will also
Definitely.
try to
Yeah,
develop, not all, at least little bit, sir.
Yeah, one must do that. If you keep on reading the same kind of material, you'll be bored. Instead, if you keep on switching over, there'll be a lot of interest for us.
Yes, sir, because we'll get different knowledge by switching to different
Yeah,
books.
that's the different vocabulary, different structures, because each writer is different in his vocabulary, in his expressions and all that.
Yes, sir, and I hope that we'll do it at least little bit day by day.
Good.
Anybody
Good.
else?
Good.
Anybody
Thank
else?
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Faiza.
Thank
And
you.
now,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, can I ask?
yes.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Yashwant.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Yashwant.
Good
Sir,
afternoon.
how can a person become a good writer?
That's what. Just now I've told you, in order to become a good writer, first you must become a good reader. Only when you read a lot, you get to know how people are writing. Different styles, different vocabulary, different expressions, different presentations. Only when you read, come through, then what happens is how to write. You that will help you to develop your own style of writing. Out of all these styles, your own style emerges.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Vaishnavi, you wanted to say
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
something?
I'm having a question.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I have some doubts. Shall I
Yes.
ask?
Yeah, please
Naresh,
ask. Please ask.
carry on.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
I am Naresh. I am Naresh from BSc first year. Sir, I have one doubt. While we learnt new words, we are not able to remember those words, sir.
Yeah.
While
So
we
for
are
that,
going to
yeah,
speak,
yeah.
we are not getting those words.
Yeah, this is a common doubt, common, I can say, question from the students. What they say is, even today, when I learn new words, if I don't practice them, if I don't revise them, I too forget. See, now, today, while I was reading the Hindu, I came across a new word. So I just saw it and I referred to the dictionary. If I don't revise it once again, if I don't refresh and remember that word, somewhere in reading or writing or somewhere, of course, it will fall into oblivion. So that's why what we need to do is any new word that you learn, you have to maintain a notebook and scribble down. You have to write down all those words, refer to the dictionary for the meaning. Along with the meaning, you write down the meaning in that book and keep revising regularly. Maybe once in a day, maybe once in 2 days, you have to look at those words which you have written. Thereby, you will not forget them. Otherwise, what happens is today you have learned a word and you did not touch it for a month or 2 months. Next time when you come across that word, you feel it's a new word. So that's why constant revision, being in touch with words either through reading or listening, will make you active. That's why vocabulary is of two types. One is passive vocabulary, the other is active vocabulary. When you learn a word from somebody, it is passive vocabulary only. When does it get converted to your active vocabulary? Only when you remember and start using it in your own while speaking or writing, then it gets converted into your active vocabulary. That's why all must try to convert their passive vocabulary into active vocabulary. Thereby, vocabulary gets multiplied.
Okay, thank you,
Okay?
sir. Sir, I have another doubt.
Yes.
Sir, while speaking two or three members, three are people, we are facing problem how to express second person thoughts to third person.
How to
For example, third person. I want to say the words which said by my friend to another friend. How can we express?
You have to use, there is one
It's
thing,
like I think
there is one thing called indirect speech. Probably you
yes,
must
sir.
have learned this reported speech. Then
Yes,
you
sir.
have to
How we
use that.
is there any techniques to learn that, sir?
Yeah, that's a technique. See, first, if you know direct speech, automatically, if you learn how to change that into indirect speech, suppose your friend told you, I'm not coming to the class today. The same thing that you are going to say this to your teacher. Then you came to the class, you are interacting with your ma'am. Now you say, ma'am, Vineet said that you would not come to class that day. So you will change the grammar here and you are expressing the same idea expressed by him using your own words. That is called reported speech. So that has to be learned. Through reading, this also gets improved. Especially the Hindu and the newspapers, when you read, a lot of it is written in indirect speech, especially like interviews. Interview of a politician, interview of anybody when it is given. Suppose KCR spoke yesterday. See, about the speech of KCR, when they are going to publish it, they will use both direct speech and indirect speech. Wherever they think that they have to quote the exact words of KCR, they will use direct speech. In the rest of the times, they will use indirect speech, as if they are saying in their own words what he expressed. So these are the two ways that we can use. Sometimes direct speech in order to make a mark. See, the importance of direct speech is that you can give that feeling. See, suppose if I say KCR said like this, you may not like it. If I exactly quote the words of what KCR said, you can feel that as if you are listening to it directly now. That feel I can make you feel. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?